Today, I'm going to tell you the story of how I brought my girlfriend to an hotel where she ended up getting by the manager and how it helped me to understand the concept of high exposure girls. Back in 2021, I was in Kiev living my best life, printing money from my antique flat. I was spending my days outside approaching girls and ultimately attracting them into my life. During that time, I started to understand the frameworks that you are all using today. Back then, I didn't understand fully the concept of low exposure girls and high exposure girls that is now widely spread. And I was about to get the biggest lesson of my entire career. I approached an 8 out of 10 at the mall who was straight away into me. I ignored so many red flags in the process. Her having designer clothes or an oligarch ex-boyfriend, for example. Everything went super fast between us and we started to see each other's more and more frequently. I had a strong frame though, as I was still cold approaching on the sides and getting better and better leads. And she knew it, of course, but we didn't mention it at all. That's how strong my frame was at that time. One day we woke up to the sounds of sirens and bombs, and I checked my phone and saw hundreds of messages and missed calls. Everyone was freaking out and running away from the city under the Russian bombs. Because of my stubborn nature and that determination that brought me here where I am today, I decided to do the opposite of what everyone was doing. Stay in Kiev and see what happens. I never blocked so many people who, from the little comfort of their sofa in Europe, were telling me what to do. My girlfriend stayed with me, and at first everything was fine. We were spending most of our time in the flat, and I was only going out to get groceries, gas, or even to meet some other girls. But as the days went by, the issue of the war became more and more uncertain. After more than 2 weeks of waking up to the bombs, the sirens, of constant stress, our relationship started deteriorating. To the point that she told me that she had enough. She wanted to run away with her family, and she started to pack. And I did the biggest mistake that all of you guys will do, don't worry about that. I simped, and the main reason is that I didn't have my own car there. I was mostly using Uber or walking in the city center, and she had a car gifted by her ex-boyfriend. I told her that everything will be fine, that she should stay, because I didn't want to stay alone there under the bombs without any car. The correct choice here would have been to let her go. She probably wouldn't even have left. She was just bluffing, and if she did, she was clearly not a ride or die. That was the ultimate test, and I failed it. On March 9, 2022, when the Russians attacked Zhytomyr, we finally left Kiev by car under the bombs. I had no more frame, no more bowler pads, the crypto market was going to I was driving her car. It was a really bad setup, and we've traveled through Europe while our relationship was deteriorating. We were arguing about pointless, and as she was a war refugee, it wasn't easy for me to just walk away. We ended up in Paris in some hotel. I didn't want to stay there. There was something odd in that place, almost as if we were being watched. I also absolutely hate living in Paris in general. I wanted to go to the south of France, living in the mountains, near the hot springs, but she wanted to stay in Paris. We started arguing about that, and knowing that I will never recover my frame, I had enough at that point. I took that opportunity to break up with her and walk away. I sent her some crypto to pay for the hotel for a week, and then I was gone. For 24 hours, I felt like shit, but then I remembered about that stunning Ukrainian girl that I met in Kiev, who was now living in the south of France with her family. I decided to visit her before going to the hot springs, and it was amazing. She was much hotter, prettier, younger, more natural, and last but not least, virgin. The ideal girlfriend. We started a relationship, and she made me forget about that previous girl and all the I've been through with her. She was living 2 hours away from me in the south, and we were already planning about how we would see each other twice per month. But then something happened. My ex came back to me, and she told me that she was sorry about everything, that she wanted to get back with me, and that she will do everything right. And after some resistance and making her beg, I decided to bring her over. When she arrived, I quickly found out that she had sex with the owner of the hotel where we broke up. Only 2 nights after we broke up, in the same fucking room. They even started a relationship together that, of course, dramatically failed. If you want to handle those Ukrainian girls, you better have game. Now for the creepy part. We were being watched by that guy in the hotel since we arrived. And as soon as he saw me leaving with my luggage, he took his chance and pretended there was a water leak in the bedroom while she was vulnerable right after I left. At that point, I was completely disgusted. She was telling me, "But Thomas, it's okay. We weren't together anymore. We broke up." While I was in a state of shock because that situation never happened to me in the past. The next day, I told her to leave. I was feeling mad at myself for bringing her over. And then I thought, wait a minute, I have that gorgeous ex-virgin waiting for me 2 hours away. So I decided to visit that other girl. She even told me that she had a surprise for me, if only I knew. I booked a nice hotel, a nice restaurant. I arrived there, parked my car, met her, but she was acting super weird. She finally told me that she knew everything about my ex. A few months back, one of my friends on Instagram tagged me in some stories with my ex-girlfriend to flex. So that girl, she saw the story back then and she had been following my ex-girlfriend all that time. She knew we were together because we were posting the same stories, and ultimately she saw us posting the same stories 24 hours before meeting her. I broke her heart. She started crying, and before I had the time to, handle this, she ran away. And when I went back to my car, it was completely destroyed with eggs, flour, yogurts. I fell into a trap. I went to the nearest car wash, I washed the car, and then I checked my phone. I was like, okay, I'm going to send her a text and tell her that I'm not with that girl anymore. She had me blocked, so I was like, you know what? Those Ukrainian girls, I'm done with them. And I just drove back home. Devastated. I was in the worst state possible. I left that hotel head high, knowing that I had a better relationship coming up. But I made the mistake of accepting my high exposure ex back into my life, who literally f***ed another rich guy she didn't know, in the same sheets we slept on, as soon as our relationship ended. In less than 24 hours, 2 relationships who meant a lot to me went to complete trash. For the next 6 months after that, I felt like complete shit. But now, I just laugh about it. It taught me 5 things. 1. High exposure girls and low exposure girls. High exposure girls are girls like my ex, who usually have a popular Instagram, who are used to be dating dudes, and who are full of traumas due to the fact that they already have been heartbroken several times. Nowadays, I only go for low exposure girls. The kind of girls with a low following on Instagram who will cry in their bedroom all day if you break up with them, instead of going out and other dudes to try to forget you. That's the way it should be. And the only way to find those girls is to cold approach during the day. 2. Never get back with your ex. If a girl disrespects you, even the slightest disrespect, and she doesn't understand that it should never happen again, then you lose your frame. If you let her getting away with that, it's over. You should move on. Most guys get stuck in those relationships forever by breaking up and going back with high exposure girls who always make beautiful promises only to disrespect you even more later. Once she knows that weak version of you, it's over. The only way to move on is to start something from scratch and avoid making the same stupid mistakes that you did. Can you believe that that ex is still texting me after all that time, telling me that she's sorry about that hotel story? But it's done now, it's over. I will never go back with that girl. 3. Always keep the IGs of your girls for yourself. I made the mistake of letting one of my closest friends posting the handle of my girlfriend on Instagram. Back then, I didn't have a good feeling about it. But I thought, and I even reposted the story. All my leads saw the handle. Since then, I make sure that nobody knows about the handles of my girls or even my leads. 4. Finding a better girl is the only way to move on from a painful breakup. The reason why most guys get stuck with the same girlfriend with no frame is because of a lack of options. The best possible therapy if you want to heal from a breakup is to find better girls through cold approach. It might take you one relationship from cold approach, two relationships, or even more. But once you become fully aware of the thousands of better matches for you who are just waiting for you to approach, you will develop that inner confidence where you know that whatever happens, you will be able to start a new relationship from scratch with a girl you've cold approach with better foundations. 5. Never stop approaching. When my 2 relationships went to trash in 24 hours, I was in the middle of nowhere in France. I felt lonely, completely out of options, and my Kiev setup was gone. It allowed me to do a deep introspective work, but as soon as I moved in a new city and I started to approach again, I felt much better. And with the right frame, and if your girl is truly a ride or die, she won't care.